بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. أما بعد، فقد قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يوسف أيها الصديق أفتنا في 7 بقرات سمان يأكلهن يوسف أيها الصديق أفتنا في 7 بقرات سمان يأكلهن 7 عجاف و7 سنبلات خضر وأخر يابسات لعلي أرجع إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون. قال تزرعون 7 سنين دأبا فما حصدتم فذروه في سنبله إلا قليلا مما تأكلون. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك 7 شداد يأكلن ما قدمتم لهن إلا قليلا مما تحصنون. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك عام فيه يغاث الناس وفيه يعصرون. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Yoosuf, O my dear friend, inform me about 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 thin cows and 7 green ears of corn and others that are dry, so that I may return to the people, that they may become enlightened. Yoosuf alayhi salam said, "You shall plow for 7 years continuously. Whatever you plow, leave it in its ear, in its skin, except for that little which you will eat. Then after those years will come 7 years of hardship that will eat away that which you had put forward and saved, except for that little which you have left. Thereafter, those 7 years will follow more years in which rain will fall abundantly for the people, and in it they will squeeze." They will squeeze. In it they will squeeze. وَفِيهِ يَعْصِرُونَ. Imagine reading the translation, and in it they will squeeze. What are they going to be squeezing? It's important we study Tafseer with the translation as well. Dear respected brothers, my youth, and my mothers and sisters listening, we have got to this stage in the Tafseer that the king, he relayed his dream that he had at night, which disturbed him, and he was seeking an interpretation for that dream. So amongst his ministers and soothsayers, he narrated this dream and said, "Someone tell me its interpretation." The people around him said that you are just having some confused thoughts. It's not a dream. It is just some confused thoughts. And confused thoughts don't have interpretations. Therefore, we can't interpret this. But of course they were only hiding their ignorance that they did not know how to interpret this dream. And amongst them was that one prisoner who became freed at the time when Yoosuf alayhi salam gave the interpretation to those two prisoners. He was one of the two. And this one was the one who was going to be saved, so he was saved. And this is the one that Yoosuf alayhi salam said to him that when you are released and you go to your king, then tell him about me. Meaning tell him something good about me. What you've known about me, about my innocence, that I'm not the person who could have committed that crime because of which I have been imprisoned. And this is the same person who then forgot for bid'a sinin, for a number of years. And the Mufassirin state about 7 years. For about 7 years he forgot until this happened, and Allah caused this to happen, that dream, and suddenly it just clicks to him. I know who can interpret this dream. Because the same person who interpreted my dream, which didn't make any sense, I'm sure he can make sense of your dream as well. And all this conversation took place about Yoosuf alayhi salam's piety and his predictions and his interpretations. All that took place, and the king agreed to sending this prisoner, once a prisoner, this man, back to Yoosuf alayhi salam. And there must have been some paperwork involved or some seeking permission to see Yoosuf alayhi salam. All that happened, but because that's not relevant to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prove and make a point on, that's been skipped. And it's already can be understood that all this took place. Otherwise, how could this person then be having this conversation with Yoosuf alayhi salam in the next ayah if all this didn't happen, where the king did agree to send him? So we understand that contextually, that that's already all happened, that the king heard all that, he was impressed by that, and he was confident that Yoosuf alayhi salam, who's in the prison, he can interpret my dreams. So he sent this one of the two, the one that was set free, he sent him back to that prison to meet Yoosuf alayhi salam. So he goes and he meets Yoosuf, and he starts, Yoosuf, ayyuha siddiq. Yoosuf, oh my dear friend. Allahu Akbar. Of course, you're coming from the king's side, you've got to go back with some good answers. So you have to say, oh, my dear friend. Well, hang on a second, that's the dear friend you forgot for 7 years in the prison. Yoosuf, ayyuha siddiq. You see, selfish people, even in our day and society, selfish people live that when they want to take work from you, then you are siddiq, you are the best friend. And when they don't want to take work from you, don't want to know you. In good days, they're around you. In your tough days, they leave you. And this is especially not only for adults, for my youth as well, my youngsters, my teenagers. Yeah, you don't want those kind of friends who are always there in your good days. And when it's tough on you, then they leave you. You don't see them. You don't see them. And just a quick, because we haven't got a lot of time, I'll try and start and finish in 20 minutes. Just a quick real life incident. So I walked out of a masjid after Jumu'ah, one of the days, this is a number of years ago, and I was distributing some flyers for an event. And one of the youngsters from that masjid after Jumu'ah came to me, and just suddenly, just like, sometimes when people see apparently, Islamic and pious people, they think they're pious. Of course, we know how sinful we are. Then they feel that, I can open up to this person, and I just want to just let it out. So he just suddenly came to me, Assalamu alaikum, brother, let me, and he just started like his whole story. And in that he said to me about friends. And he goes, I had friends, real friends. Well, I thought they were real. And we were in some deep stuff, and this and that and that. And every time they would say, oh, and he'd say his name. I'm just saying Bilal for the sake of Bilal. Oh, Bilal, you're the man. And, they should take money from me, and I used to pay for them, the takeaways and the meals as well. And, we used to do a lot of stuff together. And then one day, and you know what? Yeah, he said, you know what, brother? I used to even not listen to my parents or my friends. And then one day I went in my house, and my mother, humbly out of love, like she always did, even though I never used to give her any attention and just like ignore her. She goes, son, you just come in the house, where you're going again? And I was obviously going to get the dosh and go around the corner and deal. So I didn't listen to my mum that day. And I just walked out the house. And as soon as I walk around the street, the cops are there. and no friends on site. And I got caught. And I went prison. Saying, brother, I went prison. And not even one of my friends came to see me. Not even after prison, I'm out right now, not even after prison did one of them give me a message or return a phone call. No one wants to know me anymore. But when I had the money and I was doing all the stuff they wanted me to do, then I was the best man. And now they don't want to know me. But guess who came to see me in prison, brother? And then tears came to his eyes when he said his mother. But that mother, which I didn't listen to, and I walked out the house, that same mother came to see me in prison. And that's the reality, brothers. Our parents will always be there for us. And everybody else is there and not there. You know, alhamdulillah, our brothers and sisters will also be there for us. But that can change as well sometimes. May Allah maintain love amongst all brothers and sisters. You know, blood brothers and sisters. But that can also change at times. But parents are the most reliable human beings that are present in your life. May Allah grant them all a long life, those that are alive and those that have passed away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them Jannatul Firdaus. But they are the most reliable human beings that you can turn to, and you know you will get sincere advice. My father would say to me that parents, they will always be sincere in their advice. It is possible that they may be giving wrong advice because of lack of experience or knowledge in that field, but they will always give it with sincerity, knowing that what they are saying to you, they believe that success is in this. They can be wrong, but they will never say it knowing it's wrong. That they will never do. Whereas friends, for their own selfishness, just the way over here, they will give you advice. At times it will be from the heart and they know it's right as well. But at times they will know this is the wrong advice, but it's to save their back. Because if they don't tell you this, then they'll be caught out. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to value our parents. And for those that have passed away, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a means of continuous reward for them. May we be able to do a lot of good deeds in their name. So continuing, so this person said, this young man said, Yoosuf, Ayyuha Siddiq, oh my dear friend, inform me about this dream. And he gave him this dream of the king. What? 7 skinny cows, thin cows, eating 7 fat cows, and 7 green ears of corn. So when you cut it open, you get grains out of them. 7 green ones, so they're fresh, and then 7 which are dry. And he said that, tell me the interpretation of this, so I may go back to my people and I may tell them. So Yoosuf alayhi salam gave the interpretation of this dream. And it's explaining the ayat, but I'm just going to say it verbally. We've done the translation of the ayat. So he said that the 7 fat cows that you have seen and the 7 green ears of corn that you have seen, the fresh ones, this refers to 7 successful years of farming and ploughing and reaping. And you will gain lots of grain from there. 7 successful years you're going to have first. 7 successful years. And then he advised him what to do with that. Inshallah, we'll discuss that. Or I might as well just mention it right now. So when you do plough and you do reap all these grains in these 7 years, then don't be extravagant. وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا, like Allah says, إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. Don't be extravagant. So don't overuse this just because you're having so much success. It's like your time where your business booms is, let's say, this November, December time, Q4, quarter 4. So you're making so much money, so you're spending so much money, and then the January comes and everything's boom, it's gone down, flattened, and you're like, oh, I'm not even making half of what I was making those, and you're struggling to meet ends there. So just because you're gaining a lot right now, don't overuse it. Except only take out that much from your stores, your storage places, which you're going to eat in those years. Because after that, 7 years will follow, which is the interpretation of the 7 thin cows and the dry ears, the dry ears of corn. That 7 years after that will follow of hardship, where you will not gain crops from there. It will be years of famine. It will be dry years, meaning your animals will be thin and there will be no crops growing, no water, etc. And the reason for mentioning these animals fat and thin is because in those days they would use, like back home, still in a lot of places, they use animals to pull that which plows the field. So if you've got the fat cows, then that means they're strong, that means they're pulling more, there's more vegetation, they're eating more as well. So it's a good sign all round. But when you've got thin cows and dry crops, then it's not a good sign anyway round. So that's what's going to happen for 7 years after that. And whatever you've put forward will all be consumed in those years by the people. And that's the meaning of 7 thin cows eating the 7 fat cows. So the 7 fat cows were your 7 good years, but the thin cows will eat the 7 fat cows, meaning the years of famine will take away all your stores and all that which you have stored away. It will eat it all up except for those number of seeds which you have left behind, which you will use in prediction of good years coming ahead, rain coming ahead. So then he gave them the next part of the interpretation to say that in the coming years, after that, it will rain abundantly for the people and you will squeeze in it. And you will squeeze in it. So what's going to happen? It's going to rain abundantly. So many crops are going to grow. So you're going to get so many seeds as well. You will squeeze the seeds and gain oil. You'll get so many fruits as well. You'll squeeze the fruits and you'll get juices. And you'll also have very well-fed cows and other animals. So there'll be lots of fodder available. So you will squeeze them and you will gain milk from them. So this is the meaning of you will squeeze in them. So this person, he came to Yoosuf alayhi salam for an interpretation only. Just tell him the interpretation. But Yoosuf alayhi salam, he didn't only give him the interpretation, he told him that in the interpretation there will be a calamity. How you can overcome the calamity. Meaning, when you do grow a lot, save it, store it, just eat minimum. And not only that, he gave them good, glad tidings as well, that the year, meaning the 15th year, after 7/7, the 15th year that will follow after that, is going to rain so much and it's going to be so much days of ease over there, so much enjoyment over there. So he came to ask, how many things? 1. And how many did he gain? 3. And the next 2 were very, very beneficial to know. Because imagine, the first part was only that you're going to have dry years ahead of you, good years and dry years, that's it. And no solution. So he gave solution. That second piece of information was so important. And the third, hope. Hope that on the 15th year, this is what's going to happen. It's going to rain a lot. And upon this point, my dear respected brothers, I'd just like to make the second point of the dars today. Inshallah, concluding in a couple of minutes. Second point of the dars today, and that is the true meaning of Jude. The true meaning of Jude. Jude, sakhawa. Jude, generosity. Intense level of generosity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's blessed tongue, is described as Inna Allah ta'ala jawad yuhibbul Jude. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Jawad, the most generous, and Yuhibbul Jud, whom loves generosity. And Allama Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah mentions, وَهُوَ الْجَوَّادِ فَلَا يُخَيِّبُ سَائِلًا وَلَوْ أَنَّهُ مِنْ أُمَّةِ الْكُفْرَانِ. He is such a Jawad, so generous, that he doesn't even turn that person away who is from those who denies his existence, who is from the unthankful slaves of Allah. They deny his existence, or they misuse his bounties, or they don't relate the bounties back to him that he's provided for us. So even for the unthankful, he doesn't turn their du'as away. That's the level of generosity that he has. So Yoosuf alayhi salam, Prophet of Allah, of course he's going to have jud in him, isn't he? This generosity, which may Allah grant us all this generosity. So this person comes after 7 years, and Yoosuf alayhi salam had to stay in prison for 7 years because this person forgot him. Yoosuf alayhi salam didn't say, I'm not going to tell you the dream because you left me for 7 years. No. Yoosuf alayhi salam didn't say that I'll tell you in exchange for my freedom now. Not even that. Straight away he tells him the dream. And not only that, he came for one thing and he walks away with 3. He came to know one, but Yoosuf alayhi salam gives him 3. Look at the level of generosity. Look at that heart. May Allah grant us all that kind of a heart. That softness, the feeling, the feeling to give, the urge to give. And from this I like to mention a point, is that generosity is a quality of the heart. It is expressed in many, many ways. We have learnt one way here, where someone comes for one need, like an interpretation of the dream, and you give him more than that. So you tell him even more. So someone came to ask you that does passing wind break my salah? So you told him, yes brother, passing wind breaks your salah, but also this breaks your salah, that breaks your salah, and that breaks your salah. So please be wary. So he came for one answer, you gave him 4. Be generous. The only way of being generous in this day and age, what we know, is generosity through wealth. And because we hear it so much and it's asked for so much, we get scared of the term. Brothers, give chanda, give qarz, give loan. We get scared of it. What's this giving? Giving. I don't want to be giving. Because we always talk about money. But that's because that's what the world talks about, money. So then we limit the scope of generosity to only money, because we live in the same world and we're affected by the culture. Whereas generosity can be given so many ways. Yeah, so if someone comes and hoovers the masjid on a Thursday night in preparation for Jumu'ah for all the brothers, this is generosity. He's giving his time. He's giving his effort. He's old, he's not young, his back will hurt, but he still goes at it. This is generosity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all generous. And the fine... And upon that, inshallah, we will conclude today, because ahead of this, inshallah, we will find out where the king finally receives Yoosuf alayhi salam and has a discussion with him, and the discussion that happened between the king and Yoosuf alayhi salam just gets more interesting, isn't it? First those 2 young men, then the prison, then this young man comes back, and now with the king. And look how the Prophet of Allah, how he deals with each and every different person and the style of his dealing. But inshallah, that we will be covering next week. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept what has been said today, and all the good things that we have discussed today, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us bring them into our lives. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim. Anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.